How in the hell do we go from that to this?
This? Nom 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 nom. Ugh. This is bad.
Okay, bitch, you said it.
It's sad. It's really sad. The Nine Realms was the most disappointing thing since my son. At least it got me a lot of views and subscribers in the last 2 videos, which is always great. If anything, because of those huge boosts, I'm now getting sponsors, and I can now officially say YouTube is my full-time job, which is what I've wanted for the last 6 years. So yeah, I guess I could say I'm happy the show exists. I guess. I've also made some pretty cool friends in Audrey Greywin and King Lava Cactus, who have also made great videos on Dragons and Nine Realms that are probably better than mine? Maybe? I'm too prideful to admit otherwise.
God, I need my pride so bad.
Still though, I just can't shake the vibes that the show is nothing more than a soulless cash grab that only exists because, well, DreamWorks needs money, and how else are we gonna capitalize on the How to Train Your Dragon property, which is pretty much dead at this point? Look, The Hidden World wasn't a perfect movie, but it was still a satisfying conclusion to the story. Hiccup and Toothless said their goodbyes. Hiccup and Astrid got married and started a family, but at the same time, Hiccup and Toothless remained a part of each other's lives. The dragons are kept a secret, but the future generation is made aware of their greatness. I'm still not against them having a show in a different time period, but the way it's executed in the Nine Realms is so redundant. Just the fact that humanity has yet to discover these creatures, despite sinking practically billions of dollars into this research facility, is just so insane. And yet this stupid kid was able to do it before all of these adults? I know the importance of suspicion of disbelief, but this is just pushing it way too far to the point where you just go, okay, this is total bullshit. Seriously, why not have these scientists and the research station be dedicated not to fucking rocks or an asteroid that's never even brought up again, but to protecting the dragons themselves? Why not have it so where Hiccup passed the secret from generation to generation throughout the years until we get to the modern day? Why not have it to be where Tom, Alex, and the others are introduced to dragons as they've earned the right to know the secret? That way, not only would the adults actually have a purpose in the plot, and the research stuff would be more than just background noise to the main plot, but it wouldn't be so convoluted as what we got here. I actually believe there is potential in this idea, but there's only one big problem.
Did you guys notice that at the beginning of this scene, the audio is out of sync? Like, it kind of fixes itself halfway through, but the audio, like, is ahead of the lip sync.
Unicorns.
Yeah!
Okay. Where did you see it?
Oh my god, you're right!
Yeah! I checked Firefox, I checked Chrome, I checked my other device. It is like that.
Wow, I didn't notice that at first. I was probably checking, I must have been checking my phone at that moment. Okay, there's many problems, but the main problem is they just don't care. All they cared about was their damn money. I mean, at least when I sell out, it's because I'm just one guy in his bedroom. I can't afford to have standards. Why else would I tell you about Exter and their wonderful wallets? Speaking of which...
Ad skip. I can't believe you celebrated that your video contains ads. What a super corporate sellout. Which is such a shame because you're the only reviewer of this movie.
This video has been brought to you by Exter. Exter wallets are the latest generation in smart compact wallets made specifically to make your life a whole lot easier. Exter wallets are slim, tough, and come in handy for finding what's yours on the spot. With a push of a button, up to 12 different cards just pop out the top. Easy. Credit cards, medical cards, gift cards, licenses, I don't know, a picture of your grandma, I guess. As long as it's small enough, then I guess you can do it. Just make sure it's not too big. You can't just grab a family portrait off the wall. That's just... Dude, you're just being ridiculous now. Come on. Extra wallets also come with them a solar power tracker that allows you to keep track of your wallets whenever you lose them. All you gotta do is leave them in the sun for 2 hours and you'll be keeping track of your wallet for 3 months straight before you have to charge it again. I wish my phone would charge like this. If some guy steals your wallet and goes all the way to frickin' Sea Lion Island in the Falklands, then you better believe you'll know about it. What you do with that information, well, that'll be up to you. Made of Italian leather, space-grade aluminum, and carbon fiber, this wallet is environmentally friendly and comes in 14 different colors. I already threw my old wallet away, so you'd better believe that Extra Wallet is the wallet for me. Strong, good-looking, and packing everything, it's like the Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson of wallets. And if you use my code RaisorBlade in all caps, you can get yourself a sweet discount on your total purchase. And just in time for the fall sale, which will give you a whopping 25% off your next purchase. Combined with my code, that's a crazy deal. So be sure to head to my link in the description and the pinned comment to upgrade your wallet today. And special thanks to Extra once again for sponsoring this video. Now what was I talking about? I was so focused on the awesomeness that was Extra that I forgot what I was talking about. Hello?
You were making fun of the sellouts while at the same time being a sellout.
Oh yeah. Hey!
Oh, shut up, Razor. You better keep talking about shipping Tom and Alex and hashtag shirtless hiccup, or else.
Or else what?
Or else I'll make you look at shirtless German Tarzan again.
Look at it! Look at it! Look at it! I want all of you to look at it!
You wouldn't.
I would.
No! Audrey? Audrey, you there? You heard the woman, guys. Hashtag shirtless hiccup. Tom and Alex are great. All DreamWorks and Universal cared about was their damn money. But with that being said, if I'm being honest, it doesn't make me absolutely livid the same way it does for other How to Train Your Dragon YouTubers. Sorry, Audrey. Sorry, Kelsey. Because unlike something like Big Hero 6 the series, which picked up immediately after the events of the movie, The Nine Realms takes place 1,300 years later, over a whole millennium after Hiccup, Toothless, and all of them have been long dead. Even though the show is still pretty bad, I don't think it really does anything to hamper or destroy the original franchise because it's just so disconnected from it. And yeah, I know the irony in saying that considering what the show is doing. Tom is obviously Hiccup's descendant, Thunder is obviously a descendant of Toothless. We gotta connect it to the original franchise somehow, right to the point where we just give up on introducing new dragons and just bring back the old dragons for nostalgia's sake. Look, it's a Razor Whip. Hey, look, it's the Gronkles. Hey, look, it's a monstrous nightmare. Where are its horns?
Yeah. Look at that. Look at that.
Go for it.
Are you kidding me? What the fuck is that? This is from the first episode of this season. What the fuck is that? For a mistake like that to happen, you would have had to mess with the model itself. A mistake like that doesn't just happen. This is a rookie class mistake, and a perfect summation of the quality of Nine Realms as a whole. Now, I haven't said this before, but this isn't an attack on anyone who works on the show, nor is any of the previous videos. My intention with these videos isn't to make people feel bad for what they worked on, it's just me doing my job and saying that, given the really high standard that is How to Train Your Dragon, this show just doesn't live up to it.
This also goes for those who do enjoy the show. If you like the show, then that is perfectly fine. So long as you're happy and you're not hurting anyone, it's okay that we disagree.
I actually have plans to talk about Race to the Edge in the future, but for now, I'm still ass deep in Don Bluth. I only got 2 more movies to talk about with him, not counting any sequels to his films, of course. Then after that, I know what my next project will be.
Was it, good for you?
But I know this is the one you guys want to see the most, so here we are again, talking about this boring, mediocre kids show that barely even tries.
Hey, yo!
I mean, it's not like there's anything remotely offensive about it. You can ignore this show altogether and still enjoy the original trilogy and TV show all you want. The Nine Realms is kinda like a fart in the wind. It stinks, sure, but if you go upwind from it, then you can forget it ever happened. I mean, judging from the comments on my first season video, most fans of How to Train Your Dragon didn't even know this was a thing. At the most, they thought this was just some cheap knockoff. But no, this is real. It's officially from DreamWorks, and it's officially part of the How to Train Your Dragon franchise.
That is crazy. I just don't understand how a mistake like that even happens. That's insane.
It's such a long shot as well. Like, surely
Right?
someone watching it.
I
I can't believe I missed
Guys,
it.
these are the same people who turned a black guy white for an entire scene. You really think that this is beneath them?
The first season's biggest issue was just being a scene-by-scene rehash of the first movie with very little difference. The character designs look super stock and uninspired, which is such a shame because their original designs and the concept art look like they not only have way more personality than what we get in the show, but it was even designed with How to Train Your Dragon's style in mind so that they wouldn't look so bland, so comedically stock and forgettable. Outside of Alex, of course. Alex is gorgeous. Then we get season 2, where, for me, the biggest problem was that I, for the life of me, couldn't really get where the show was going. It just feels rather aimless with its story and characters. There's rarely, if ever, any payoff with any conflict within the show, and some plot lines are just straight up forgotten about. Remember that plot line where D'Angelo brings up Tom's dad for whatever reason, and how he left him and his mom? Remember how that was never brought up ever before or since then? You'd figure, since that's apparently a big deal for Tom, you'd think they would have brought that up sooner. Or how about when Alex was too afraid to stand up in front of her class to show off her project? Remember how we never actually got to see her give her presentation? Sure, we feel that she learned to be brave, but there still wasn't any payoff to it. The class was established, and yet we never saw the class again. And of course, we have the whole Tom thing that I talked about in the last video. How his character has never really lined up with what the show is presenting him as. I'm a loner because my dad abandoned me and my mom. I don't like talking to other people about my problems, even though you did. Multiple times in the show up to that point. You trusted Jean with the dragons, you gave D'Angelo a chance, and you always supported Alex whenever she needed somebody. And then she supported you back! And yet you chose to trust June over her with what you were doing with Thunder and the secrets of the Vikings and shit? What the fuck was that about? I just can't seem to understand where exactly the show is going. I'm not saying I need to know where the show is going, but frankly, it just feels like the show itself doesn't know where it's going. And Season 3 couldn't be any more evident of that. Dragons the Nine Realms Season 3 is just as bad as the rest of the show. In some ways, I dare say it's even worse, especially on a technical level, because the animation in the show is just bad. Really bad. There are animation errors all over the place. Again, where are your horns, my guy? You don't leave home without them! I know the fireworms grow bright, but do they seriously glow through solid objects like this?
Yes!
I was really hoping this was just a trailer thing, but yeah, it's in the full
This-
thing.
Oh, how
you can
it
see
clips
through a
through the
metal
metal?
tap.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, look at that.
I pointed that out in my trailer thing
I
as you
remember
saw,
that.
Audrey. I'm not sure if you've seen it,
Bro.
Yeah, I
Razor,
did.
but I'm like, what?
I sadly have not. Sorry, I didn't get around to it.
The less I think about this weird-ass tongue animation, the better my life becomes as a result of it.
Look at the tongue.
Ew,
Yeah.
it looks so creepy. What the fuck?
Yeah. Here's the thing about the tongue. Pause it. It doesn't look like it's actually coming out of her mouth. It looks like it's just
No.
kind of floating there over her mouth, in a
yeah,
way.
and then they like shift the position and rotate it a little bit.
Yeah,
God,
it looks
it's
so.
so
It just looks
weird.
so uncanny. It looks so off. Like, what does that tongue do?
You want to find out?
And I know these errors aren't the first in the show. I mean, this was kind of funny.
What seems to be the problem, gentlemen? You're brothers!
Are you sure about
Like I said before, I've seen worse animation than this, but given the animation quality of Race to the Edge, this is definitely a step down.
What I was thinking was Last Auction Heroes, where Hiccup and Toothless go into the water, and they come up, and when they come up, the water
Sure.
coming off of them, like, they look actually wet. Which they normally didn't do in Race to the Edge, they just kind of made them look shiny. But his hair was matted down and everything.
Do you just know this off the top of your head, or have you looked it
Yeah,
up?
no, I just know it off the top of my head.
Yeah. It's a religion for her.
See the water? Yep, here it is. Like, look at that! That looks so
Oh
good!
yeah, that's.
Yeah. Like, the show had a budget.
Uh,
Oh yeah.
And they had like water
Wait,
droplets
guy-
on the lens. It's so,
So
cool.
in this scene, Hiccup and Astrid are wet, right?
I remember people mentioning the disappearing fish nugget in Season 1, Alex's hair ties clip into her shoulder. You really get that sense as to how cheap and rushed this show looks just by watching the show altogether. The designs of both the people and dragons aren't that distinct or memorable, things like water don't have the proper weight or physics to them, and sometimes the show just straight up says fuck physics. Take episode 6 of the season, for example, when the dragons accidentally drop the magma breather, and they're just able to catch it perfectly. This very large dragon, who throughout the entire episode the main character struggled to even move, was in a free fall, and the dragons were just able to catch it.
Like this dragon's got to be like what? A lot heavy.
Like a
why
ton.
would it not? Would it not
ton.
hurt to
A
have an
lot.
extra dragon?
Hey,
And
are
then,
you
And
forgetting?
then Eugene proves his point.
Are you forgetting that Tom moved a whole ass boulder in the first season?
Oh, that's right. He's got super
Oh,
strength.
So I also put something about the fact that the dragon is head down, like just a dead weight, heading towards the bottom of the fissure there. It's just the greatest.
I'll give it some credit where it's due that some of the designs are pretty cool. I still think those spider wings are cool designs for a dragon, even though it's not the first dragons to do webs. Yes, I saw all your comments about the comic book and the silk spanners. I'll admit that I like the silk spanners design more than the spider wings, but I still like the spider wings nonetheless, so that point on season 2 will still remain. Cry about it. The flamethrower dragons are kind of cool, but I gotta say something about that name. Flamethrower dragons? That's such a boring and frankly non-informative name. That name could apply to almost most dragons. Why not call it a fire jackal instead, since it operates a lot like real jackals? That'd be pretty cool. I also like the Sky Torcher's design. Kinda gives me those King Ghidorah vibes with the large wing and serpent-like head. Although I do gotta ask, what is the practicality of that fire breath? What is this X-Wing-esque bullshit? How would it hit anything it's trying to hit? Also, I gotta say this, and keep in mind, I don't believe the writers had any ill intention behind this, but can we talk about how this giant white-ass dragon showed up and started taking the land from all the other dragons? Can we talk about that, DreamWorks? Oh, and of course, it's a big black dragon that shows up and saves the day. You came to the wrong neighborhood, cracker. Get your salty, colonialist, Casper-looking ass back to where it came from. Again, don't take that the wrong way. I just thought that was funny. The Fall River's like, you came to the wrong neighborhood, cracker.
Oh my god. I'm gonna let you make that joke on your channel, because I've had enough people call me racist for one eternity.
Alex is still the best girl in the show, hands down. She's like literally the only character who actually has a tangible character throughout the show. She actually feels like a real person, and she grows like one too. Take that scene in Season 2, Episode 4, for example, when Tom goes off on his own to catch those flood fangs in order to fight that forest fire. Remember how Alex followed him to yell at him for just taking off like that? That was actually a really good reflection on the development that she had obtained so far. Season 1 Alex would never have done that, and Alex points that out to his face.
You can't keep flying off to do everything by yourself. And this is coming from the girl who likes to do everything by herself. If the dragon riders are gonna work, you have to start letting us into yours. You're a natural leader, Cullerson. You just don't know it yet.
Yes, Queen! Slay! Slay! Slay your enemies! Ruler of one of the realms of men!
I've said this before in my Season 1 video, but I still think the show would have been a lot better if Alex was the main character instead of Tom, since she's not only the most likable character, but she's also the one whose growth feels the most real. Also, I'm just gonna say this because Audrey would kill me if I didn't. I don't usually take shipping into account when I review something unless the pairing directly affects the plot, but with that being said, it is a little weird how hard they're playing the shipping game with these kids, especially in this season.
Yeah, this bit. As she pulls him up, I thought they were gonna kiss.
But I'll cook the cheese.
There. I so thought it was gonna happen.
They're flirting so hard too.
Yeah.
They're flirting up a
Here's what I'm
storm
gonna do.
here.
I'm gonna task all fan artists in the How to Train Your Dragon fandom to make art of Tom and Alex, because they've already done it, and just spam the 9 Realms hashtag with it. Like, John, we don't want Tom and Jude. We want Tom and Alex.
There's literally a scene where Alex and D'Angelo play Marco Polo in some random pool we've never seen before. Like, where did this pool come from? Also, I don't know what 14-year-old kids the people who made the show are looking at, and frankly, I don't want to know. That is not the body of a 14-year-old boy. Who are y'all kidding? Even Teen Gohan wasn't that buff.
I know you on steroids. That's why your arms look like that.
But still, despite Tom and Alex having far better chemistry and actually having a positive effect on each other's character, we gotta pair Tom with June because, oh, they knew each other when they were kids, so that means they're destined for each other, right? But wait, we can't leave Alex single despite her being a strong, independent woman. And a good one, mind you. So just pair her with D'Angelo, I guess, even though they have absolutely no chemistry at all. Personally, I don't really feel the need to have these kids get together, period. Boys and girls can just be friends without romance. It's possible, guys, but if you're gonna go down that route and have them be together in the end, then at least make it satisfying to watch. Hiccup and Astrid were satisfying as fuck, dude. Oh yeah. This is just forced and weird, though. I don't want to watch it.
Ew! I like them! I like goblins!
And shit, I haven't even started talking about the show itself, have I? Outside of the Sky Torture and the Fire Jackals, and yes, I am sticking with that name because it's better. DreamWorks, feel free to use it in the future. This show just relies on dragons from the original show to tell the stories this season. The first episode is about a monstrous nightmare. Tom and the others want to test their new suits, which they made entirely off screen and totally aren't just wearing because, hey, remember the Hidden World? Remember that movie, guys? I know it doesn't make any sense for these kids to suddenly have these, but you love How to Train Your Dragon, right? Well, this is from that. This is How to Train Your Dragon, you guys. I mean it. Please just keep giving us your money. Please play our video game that looks like a cheap mobile game from 2014. It only cost $50 fucking dollars. the fuck is that? Are you effing serious? It's fine. It's fine. It's $50. It's gotta be a good game. $50. $50 fucking dollars. This is fine. This is perfectly fine. Y'all are so shameless, Universal. What the fuck? So Tom and the others want to use the Monstrous Nightmare to test out their suits, but uh-oh, that's a bad thing because the Monstrous Nightmare is an animal, and we shouldn't use animals. You guys are seriously going to say that after using the Magma Breather to destroy tunnels so that your parents wouldn't discover the dragons? Or when you guys used the Flood Fangs to put out the fire? Or later in the season when you used the Bolt Ripper to fight off the Sky Torture? Oh, and don't you worry, I will get to you. You guys have used dragons multiple times for your own benefit in the past, so why are y'all getting mad at Tom for doing this? What's that about? Speaking of which, why is Tom the one who has to learn this? He's the supposed dragon whisperer. He's been defending dragons more than anyone else on this team. Remember how he pretty much begged June not to expose the dragons when she first discovered them? Or how skeptical he was about D'Angelo joining Dragon Club? Or helped Alex when she was being followed by feathers? Or literally multiple other instances where he helped fucking dragons? This is exactly what I'm talking about. This show has no fucking consistency. This show pretty much forgets its own main character's main fucking philosophy. That he cares about the fucking dragons. He's not even that mean with it. He's trying to feed the hornless beast and ends up befriending it anyway. This conflict is just so convoluted. And then of course Tom later catches on fire while riding it. I don't know how he survives that. I mean, yeah, I get he's covered in the gel, but like, last time I checked, wasn't that shit explosive? You might as well cover yourself in gasoline, Tom. You'd be less flammable. Then in episode 2, you have June and Tom exploring the Fire Realm. Let's not kid ourselves, guys. It's not a realm, it's a biome, and I refuse to call it anything else. But anyway, they discover a shield that is not rusted, not warped due to the external heat, not even the least bit dirty. I understand that it's Gronkle iron, which is super strong and made to survive against hot temperatures, but for 1,300 years? It's still in prime condition? Hey, remember what I said before about the show never having any real payoff? Well, here's another great example. June's mom yells at her for being into fantasy and signs her up for some business class, which we never see. Oh yeah, that reminds me, don't these kids go to school? They've only been to school twice in the entire show up to this point, and neither of those times was in season 3. I bring this up because June's mom signs her up for a business class, and yet she just never goes to it. There isn't a scene where June tells her mom to stick it or anything. We don't actually get to see June's development in this episode pay off. She wants to tell her mom to just let her be happy, but we don't actually get to see her tell her mom to just let her be happy. Meanwhile, while all that's going on, D'Angelo and Alex murder some construction workers, which is a genuinely hilarious scene.
Oh yeah, this is the bit where they all die.
Yeah, just fucking killed 3 people.
I know, they're dead.
Wait, okay,
There's
1, 2
one.
actually hits them. 3. Did you see how fast that came at her? Did you?
This show has a weird tendency of showing people surviving pretty unsurvivable things. And don't worry, we'll get to Not Dagger later. Episode 3 is the Alex episode, which easily makes it the best episode in the season. The kids discover the fireworms, but Alex accidentally brings one home despite it not catching her bag on fire, but well, whatever, story's gotta happen, I guess. And her mothers discover it thinking it's a lizard. With wings. Seriously, these two scientists can't put it together. This is a fucking dragon.
Are you stupid or something?
Look, I love Alex. She's the one redeeming factor of the show. I especially love just how chaotic neutral she is, right to the point of wanting to set up a missile alarm that Icarus has just to save the fireworm. That is awesome.
What are you doing?
Yes!
There are so many moments like that in this season, like when she wants to feed Prince Charles V to the dragons when he discovers them, or bringing a bag of chips to watch him possibly get himself killed trying to train a dragon. That shit is so fucking good, I love it. But with all that said, kinda sucks that this is also the most frustrating episode of the whole season. While freeing the fireworm, Alex triggers the alarm and causes dozens of people to crowd around the building. So you'd think that with all of those people around, at least one of them would notice the fucking floating ball with the dragon in it. Or maybe even more so, the invisible dragon that makes herself visible in front of everybody! Sure, it's only for a few seconds, but come on! Someone had to have seen it! There's literally dozens of people out there, right there! Especially since Charles V is going around trying to tell people about it. Oh yeah, by the way, Prince Charles V, and yes I will continue to call him that because it's funny to me, saw the monstrous nightmare in episode 1, so he knows about the dragons now. This really won't matter until episode 5, so whatever. I also kind of wish the show actually had the balls to let the fireworm die. Dragons died in Race to the Edge in the movie, so I don't see why you couldn't do it here. Just let a dragon die every once in a while. Show that there's actual consequences to the character's actions for once. Episode 4 is easily the funniest episode in this whole season. There's just something so funny about Tom walking aimlessly, not knowing what's going on, and then just getting blasted. That's just so good.
Hey, what's the plan?
Also, unsurprisingly, Alex has the best line in the episode.
Cowboy sound!
And why would Thunder do that? Also, he just broke his back. I have many instances of that happening as well, where people just should be dead. Like, paralyzed
again,
forever.
that's something I'm willing to forgive because Race to the Edge did it all the time too.
It's clearly meant for comedic effect, so it's not a big deal for me either.
So in this episode, D'Angelo accidentally feeds a dragon egg to some gronkles, and the mother, a catastrophic Quaken, begins rampaging across the biome. This episode actually wasn't that bad. I like how the conflict with D'Angelo feels a lot more natural and believable than anything that was given to us in the last couple episodes. His mistake was very easy to make, so it doesn't feel contrived at all, and being the vet of the team who made the mistake, this is actually a great story to tell with him. But even then, the episode isn't really perfect. Again, I do wish the show had bigger balls and would have actually destroyed the eggs. How in the hell did they survive all that? I get the dragon eggs are tough, but they're not exactly taffy. Then you got the next episode where Charles V discovers Dragon Club. It's stupid, mainly because Charles V is so fucking annoying. I've always hated the cocky idiot trope, especially when the character just never seems to grow out of it, or at least be funny. Snotlout was like this too, but at least he did have moments of growth that did make him feel more than just a joke. Also, he actually was funny. But Charles V is just annoying. There's this awkward moment where he tries to sympathize with June about joining the Dragon Club. Maybe I want to be part of something. Is that too hard to understand? Yeah, it actually is, because we don't fucking know jack shit about you. You were barely in Season 2 to begin with, and throughout Season 3, all you've tried to do is bust the kids like you're Candace from Phineas and Ferb. Mom! June and her friends are training dragons! And I believe one of them takes steroids. No way a 14-year-old looks that buff naturally, my god. Nothing about your character has shown you to be sympathetic in any way. Every single character in the show that you've interacted with, including the adults, do not take you seriously at all. Now granted, that could work, as it could show that Charles V has a serious lack of self-confidence and feels anxious about himself, that the cool guy bravado is just a front, and he's actually super unsure of himself. But the problem is that that's not what the show was intending. This show was treating Charles V like a joke, so to have the show suddenly just go, oh boo-hoo, Charles V doesn't have any friends, it's just so confusing. Are you really gonna laugh at this character and then suddenly try to shame us for laughing at you, Nine Realms? Like, are you seriously trying to gaslight me now, the Nine Realms? He's been nothing but a total dick to our main characters up to this point. So now you want us to be on his side? What a sick joke! Not to mention he's still super unlikable in this episode anyway. The way he just treats every dragon he comes across like shit, it honestly makes me wish they went with Alex's plan to just let the dragons eat him. Oh, and as for his dragon webmaster, it's just a deadly natter with extra arms and no spines. Thanks, I hate it. Also, seriously? Webmaster? It sounds like a discount Spider-Man name. Why not just call him Tanglehorn instead?
Shit, that's good.
Episode 6 is so fucking stupid. A magma breather is sick, so our heroes try everything in their power to help it, but do every stupid thing possible in the process. For fuck's sake, the kids actually use a fucking thermometer to take a dragon's temperature. A lava-breathing dragon to see if it has a fever.
Yeah, no shit.
In my notes, I've put it's still not as hot as Astrid.
You wanna know what makes this worse? It's Alex doing this. Alex is the smart one.
Why you gotta do my girl like that?
Tom and June, I would buy that, but like Alex, come on. And D especially, you're the vet.
So D'Angelo thinks the magma breather has a blockage that's preventing it from creating magma, so they decide to use an ultrasound machine to look inside of it.
Great idea! We'll just plug the machine into... Oh wait, the Dragon Realm doesn't have power outlets.
Does that mean you don't have portable generators? This is $1 billion operation with drones, giant cranes, computers, and yet there isn't a single portable generator anywhere? I know they're more expensive than your fucking video game, but come on! This is a multi-billion dollar operation! I think they have the money for a goddamn portable generator! At least one of them! But okay, let's say for the sake of the argument, they don't have a portable generator. Yes, they do. In the form of a fucking thunder dragon that can give the machine power if it wanted to. Tom and June, I expect this level of ignorance from. But Alex? I expected better from you, Queen. What the fuck? So yeah, their brilliant idea is to bring the magma breather into the infirmary, hope it doesn't burn down the place by accident, and then use the ultrasound to look inside of it. Meanwhile, while all of that's happening, Prince Charles V is told to watch over the dragons, and lo and behold, Buzzsaw returns. Actually, he's kind of been back throughout the season, but also not really. Honestly, I was a little disappointed by Buzzsaw in this season. He has a couple of funny moments here and there, like in episode 3 when the girls fly by him and he thinks he's crazy.
I don't think that was intentional. I think they actually thought that I can't even
And the
look
music
at it.
too.
It's so stupid.
And in this episode when he has his therapy session with Charles V. But for me, he really is just a diet dagger without any of the real menace or depth. I hope to talk more about Dagger in a future video, so I won't spend a lot of time here, but Dagger was threatening for many reasons. For starters, he straight up killed people. Like, no bullshit, he was a murderer. He had the blood of possibly thousands of people on his hands. There's also the fact that he was certified insane. Secondly, in seasons 2 and 3 of Race to the Edge, he began to show that despite his terrible past, he did, however, care about his sister Heather very much and was willing to go to great lengths to protect her. He wasn't just a mindless monster, he actually had a bit of character to him. But Buzzsaw just isn't that. He's a whiny daddy's boy who stupidly destroyed his own company because he was an idiot, and now he's just running around the woods like he's fucking Yogi Bear trying to steal the picnic baskets. Again, why wasn't it a dragon that destroyed his company? That would have been a great way to build upon the themes that the Hidden World was talking about. How dragons can't, or at least shouldn't, live side by side with humans. Not only did that rob Buzzsaw of any complexity that he could have had, but it also undermines the threat that he could have been as well. Despite him running around swinging a hatchet like he's Freddy Voorhees or something, I don't really sense any threat from him, period. Not to mention, like Charles V, the show treats him like a joke. Yeah, Race to the Edge did this with Dagger sometimes, but it knew when to cut it out. It knew when not to make his villainy a joke. In the season finale episode, Buzzsaw runs into Tom's mom and Namari from Raya and the Last Dragon, and despite this being a moment where there should be tons of tension, I just don't care because A, Tom and Buzzsaw have never even met yet, let alone establish a rivalry, and B, Tom's mom and Namari are just more annoyed than scared.
I can't believe you agreed to let this oddball oversee our activities.
The last thing we need is some local rube reporting us for trespassing.
If I ran into some random guy with a hatchet acting the way he does in the woods, I'd freak the fuck out, or at least shoot the man. I get that they're still building him up, but we're in the 3rd season. The 3rd season. If this guy is supposed to be an antagonist, then clearly he should have been built up by now. And yeah, I get it. There's only 6 episodes in the 1st season and 7 in the 2nd and 3rd. That still makes 20 episodes. Last I checked, most shows were able to build up antagonists in far less time. So it's clearly not an issue with episode number, but priority. I'd like to give the show the benefit of the doubt, as with the season finale, he does discover the ice biome and thus the dragons, so maybe he will become a genuine threat later down the line. But I'm sorry, how can I? This show has had more than enough time to try and establish a recurring antagonist, but they just wasted it on a bunch of stupid, babyish filler. This show cares way more about June's stupid fantasy obsession or Tom's connection with the... Actually, scratch that last one, but we'll get to that one later. Race to the Edge had filler episodes too, but they were few and far in between. The show knew that the drive of the show was its story. Hiccup and the others struggled to protect dragons and fight the hunters, be it Dagger, Riker, Vigo, TJ Miller, you name it. But this show doesn't really do that. There's so many plot lines going on that just never get any focus. Tom's mother was barely even in this season. Same with D'Angelo's dad. The kids don't go to school, not really. And when things like that are brought up, they're quickly brushed to the side and never wrapped up in a satisfying manner. I know it sounds like I said this already, because I did, but it helps make my point as to why Buzzsaw is failing so hard, why the Nine Realms itself is failing so hard. And we're not even done with this episode. So after discovering a crystal lodged inside of his throat, D'Angelo decides it'd be best to just stick his hand in there and try to pull it out.
Also, for this scene where he's like, I'm gonna have to reach inside its throat and grab out the crystal, I'm like, so how are you gonna explain that to anyone? Oh yeah, I'm missing both my forearms just because,
Yeah, why is it D'Angelo
Lizard?
people? That dragon has made it very clear it's racist.
Also, that reminded me of a scene we missed in the first episode where Tom goes up to the monster's nightmare and Alex is like, he's gonna miss that arm.
Yeah, yes, that was great.
He's gonna miss that arm.
So after removing the crystal, the magma breather begins to cool down rapidly, so they try to take it back to the fire biome.
Oh, hi. Ready to go? Did something happen here? Nope.
Something definitely happened.
Yeah, they never come back to that. Despite knowing something went down with Charles V, they just completely forget about that. Not that surprising, honestly, but I just went on a tangent, so whatever. So thanks to Charles V, they managed to get the magma breather back home, all so that Tom can make his stupid sword out of silver. Which, by the way, what's that sword for, Tom? I'm asking you this because you're kind of a little bitch in the next episode. The last episode of the season. So remember in season 1 when Tom defeated the Vault Ripper? Remember how it almost killed his mom and everyone at Icarus with the constant earthquakes? Any logical person would think that Tom was in the right to fight the Vault Ripper and defeat it, right? Well, apparently that's not the case. Apparently, Tom feels bad for the Vault Ripper and wants to go check on it and see if it's okay. Yeah, so it turns out the Vault Ripper is in fact alive. Despite us seeing it fall down a great hype in the last episode of season 1 with possible lava pits at the bottom, it somehow survived. I mean, I guess it's not the most unbelievable thing in the show. I guess it's possible, but I do kind of wish the show still had the balls to straight up kill it. That would actually add some weight and consequences to Tom's actions, and maybe even justify why he feels this way. But as it is, the Vault Ripper is alive, and Tom is feeling like a jerk for hurting it. I mean, again, it was trying to kill your mom? What would you rather have happened, dude? Would you rather let it kill your mom? What did you even want a sword for anyway? You are aware of what swords are made for, right? What they're famous for? Hurting things. Killing things. Maiming them beyond recovery. And yet your Steven Universe wannabe ass wants one? Care to explain yourself? Because that makes no fucking sense. I mean, if you want a sword just because it's cool, then okay, I get that. But it's pretty clear from your demeanor you intend to use it. I know I'm going really hard on this point, but I mean, am I just stupid? Or is this not the most inconsistent, confusing thing ever? Tom, either you be a fighter who fights the bad dragons, or be a pacifist and don't fight at all. You know, you can be both, but just don't be such a whiny bitch about it. You know, Hiccup was a lot like that. He hated fighting dragons and hurting them in the end, but he, at least, was self-aware of the situations he faced in both the movies and the show. He knew he couldn't just train the Red Death. He had no choice. It was either kill the Red Death or let it kill his friends and family. Not a hard choice, dude. I'm not saying Tom can't be sad about hurting another dragon, but he just can't seem to accept that he had no choice. Even the others tell him that he had no choice, and he's not a bad guy for doing what he did. The Vault Ripper wasn't just threatening their families, but the other dragons as well. On top of all that, Tom has been perfectly fine with hurting other dragons, and yet he's not whining about how they feel. Oh no, I sure hope those Plowhorn bullies in Season 1, Episode 4 are okay, despite them trying to kill me on multiple occasions. Oh no, I sure hope those Bubblehorns from Season 2, Episode 1 are okay, despite them also trying to kill us on multiple occasions. Oh no, the Sky Torture is literally stealing all the land from the other dragons, and we have to stop it! Actually, fuck that white-ass colonizer dragon. Again, just a joke, don't read too much into that. It just comes across as hypocritical when he whines about the Vault Ripper, but none of the other dragons he's hurt throughout the show. And it's always been out of self-defense, for himself or for others. So what gives? Why is this suddenly an issue here in Season 3, when it really wasn't before? Yeah, they brought it up here and there in Season 2, but only barely. They didn't dive into it enough to flesh it out to where I can understand Tom's mindset. It's just super underdeveloped and confusing because everything logically just points out that Tom is not in the wrong for doing so. It's just so contrived, especially when Tom already has a conflict going on. Have we forgotten that he's trying to discover his connection to Vikings and find Thunder's family? Remember that shit? Because this season doesn't. After all the drama it caused in the last season, you'd figure for this season, they'd focus more on getting some actual answers. You know, in the 3rd season? But no. Instead, another giant dragon shows up and presents a threat to our characters and their dragons for the 3rd fucking time. That's right, every season of this show so far has ended the exact same way. A super large dragon appears, and the main characters have to stop it. Unlike the Fault Ripper or Skrill, however, the Sky Torture had pretty much no build up to it. Outside of a brief shot of it in episode 5, this one just kinda comes out of nowhere because, well, the season's coming to an end, so we gotta have a big fight. I mean, I know Buzzsaw's been in the background of this season and he could have been the antagonist, but no, let's just do the same exact thing for the 3rd time in a row. But wait! Wouldn't fighting the Sky Torture be considered hurting the dragon? No? Tom's cool with it in this case? Okay, yeah, glad to see he's sticking to his guns. So when the Sky Torture turns out to be too strong for them, Tom and June go looking for the Fault Ripper. They find it hiding in a tunnel and discover that it has PTSD now from their fight. Are y'all seriously gonna try and talk about PTSD in your show? An incredibly sensitive topic that most shows tend to fuck up? This show hasn't had the balls to ever fully tackle anything even remotely mature, and now it suddenly wants to tackle PTSD? In the last 8 minutes of the last episode? Oh, but it's okay, you guys, because all that PTSD just disappears the moment Tom presses his hand up against its snout. And suddenly, they're all the best of friends. So remember, kids, the next time your great-grandpa is having a Vietnam flashback, just press your hand up against their head, and all of their previous traumas will just disappear. It's that simple. Never have to worry about those filthy commies ever again. Also, wasn't there a whole thing against using dragons for your own benefit earlier in this season? Well, I guess that's okay now, too. You noticing a pattern here, too, guys? How the show just loves to pick and choose its conflicts and then just drop them whenever it's no longer convenient for the story. Almost like the writers don't actually give a shit about actual focus or consistency. But whatever, they managed to rally all the dragons, tell that white colonizer to go back to his own land, and the battle is won. Hooray.
I can't believe we pulled that off. And without hurting a single dragon.
You literally had a dozen dragons gang up on the Sky Torture and fuck his whole day up. I know it was a threat, but you definitely hurt that dragon. For sure. Just watch. By the next season, Tom's gonna feel really bad for the Sky Torture and want to be friends with it too. Ugh. But of course, the season can't end without something connected to the Vikings or Thunder's family, so after it's all said and done, Tom discovers a container that has the Strike Class symbol on it, and that's pretty much where the season ends. Well, I went on way longer than I ever did before with the series, haven't I? Look, I would have made the last 2 videos way longer if I knew both just how well they would do since you guys deserve it, and also if I didn't have a full-time job at the time that wasn't YouTube. But now that it is my full-time job, I can fully dedicate time to ripping it apart like it deserves. But yeah, Season 3 was just not really a new low for the show. I feel like it's been pretty consistent in terms of quality throughout the entire thing. It has a couple of sparing moments of good here and there, and Alex is genuinely a great character, but everything else in this show just screams cash grab. A soulless cash grab that Universal and DreamWorks don't really care about. Who cares if the Hidden World was a satisfying ending to the How to Train Your Dragon franchise? Because as long as there's money to be made, we'll get it. Out of their dead ass if we must.
Am I really gonna defile this grave for money? Of course I am!
The animation is sloppy at best. There's no focus on anything important in the season. The character's development is just all over the place, save for Alex, of course, and I don't feel like we're any closer to learning anything substantial than I was at the end of Season 2. Or even Season 1, to be honest, because this show cares way more about dumb, childish filler than actually telling a meaningful story. It both tries so hard and yet doesn't try at all to replicate what made How to Train Your Dragon so good in the first place. I mean, did anyone notice how Tom and Thunder had pretty much no character moments throughout this entire season? Almost like, again, the show forgot that the show is about them. Oh, but at least June's learning to stand up to her mother, or D'Angelo is learning that he doesn't have to be like his dad. Again, these filler episodes wouldn't be that big of a deal if the seasons had more episodes to them, but we're in the 3rd season now, and nothing has changed. In Race to the Edge, things were always happening. Even with the show being stuck with the curse of being a midquel show, and thus being limited to what you can actually do with the main characters. Like, I know Astrid's not gonna fucking die from that illness, DreamWorks, nice try though. But despite all that, the show was still telling a story. The original characters that were added in added genuine tension to the narrative, and you did get invested in their stories. Right to the point where when one character died, or at least should have died, topic for a future video, you actually cared. You got sucked in because the show was doing something right. But the Nine Realms just isn't doing it for me. Outside of Alex, I'm just not interested in Tom, or June, or D'Angelo, or Thunder, or any of it really. When it's not disrespecting the original franchise by its mere existence, it's just a boring, mediocre kid show that's, at its best, a distraction to keep your kid quiet for 3 hours. But I can think of so many better things to show your kid other than this. Like, How to Train Your Dragon, for example. That's what I would show them. Fortunately, this show is pretty easy to ignore. Just treat it like Dragon Ball GT. Yeah, it's there and it has its fans. Of course, my stalker would be one of them. Why am I not surprised? I didn't like it, so now he's doing everything in his power to try and get John Telegon's attention and make himself look cool. Daddy John, I know those mean critics on YouTube are hating the show for what is, in my opinion, petty reasons, but I really liked it, and I know I'm better than them. Why else would I stalk them for years on end and abuse minors so I could keep doing that in secret? YouTube, get this piece of shit off your fucking website, now! But with all that being said, it doesn't really infringe on the previous entries in this franchise, so I say just ignore it. Most people don't really seem to even know the show exists anyway, so I guess just go back to what you were doing before you knew the show existed. Ignorance is bliss, after all. I know this sounds really mean to the people who worked on it, and again, this isn't an attack on them personally. I just wasn't happy with this product because that's all it is. A product. I would never call How to Train Your Dragon a product, because it did something special. No, it was special. There's a reason why it's had such a lasting impact on so many people, why people still love it to this day, and why people are so frustrated with the Nine Realms to begin with, because it doesn't live up to that standard. I know it's a high bar, but when it's obvious you're not even trying, that just makes the salt in the wound all the more devastating. It lacks the animation, the focus, the creativity, and especially the heart of what made How to Train Your Dragon so damn special. And that's why Dragons the Nine Realms Season 3 is an unsurprising disappointment. Oh yeah, of course, how could I forget? Haley Joel Osment! Yeah, that joke's dead now. Just like the Nine Realms is.